Hey guys, Krisha here. Please be cautious of any fake comments and emails you may receive from people pretending to be Mango Research. Sean and I will never ever contact you for investment opportunities or anything of that sort.
Alrighty guys, good morning. This is going to be a quick update on Ethereum. An update to the previous video we did just last week when Ethereum was sitting around $3,100 and we were calling for higher targets, much higher by the way, especially for the ultra long-term targets. If you guys haven't watched the video yet, please go ahead and watch it. It's a comprehensive video where we talk about the short-term, mid-term, long-term, along with the Bitcoin pairing chart as well. It is 20 minutes long, but you'll get a really good idea of how to position for this coming cycle. With that being said, let's jump right on over to the charts over here. We're looking at Ethereum on the monthly time frame. And as you guys can see, we are sitting smack up against resistance, and we have 5 days to close the monthly. Now, does Ethereum smash past this, or do we see a pullback? We'll be coming back to this chart. So what we should be always doing before doing any analysis is check our biases by looking at the Mango dashboard. You can follow along at app.mangoresearch.co. There's a free version as well as a premium version. The free version should be good enough for most of you who are just like, following the markets on the high time frame. So just as a hobby, right? So we're going to go ahead and filter out Ethereum right over here, and we're going to look at ETH USD today, and we're also going to be looking at ETH BTC. Now, ETH Bitcoin is where I will be have my focus at the very least for the short term, because I have been putting on leverage trades on the ETH Bitcoin pairing. We're going to talk about that very soon. But as you guys can see, for the most part, it's the same, right? We have the same trend profile across both pairings, the USD pairing as well as the Bitcoin pairing. However, one really major difference: the weekly trend on the Bitcoin pairing, ETH Bitcoin, is not long yet, right? This is actually a good sign, right? Especially if you're looking for a bigger move against Bitcoin. This is telling you that ETH Bitcoin is just coming off its consolidation. Now, something I want you guys to focus on, right? This is a new feature on the Mango dashboard, which has been very useful, but people haven't noticed it yet, is the new support and resistance feature on the drop down over here, right? It tells you what the major high time frame support level is and what the major high time frame resistance level is. This is especially important to avoid buying into resistance or selling into support, right? Now, Ethereum has been pumping for a while, so we won't be selling into support over here. The major concern that we want to guard against is buying into resistance. So the 0.0345 level, we want to keep an eye on, and we're going to go ahead and mark this on our ETH Bitcoin chart. Now, similarly, on the USD pairing, 3,847 is our resistance level on the higher time frames, right? Now remember guys, the dashboard over here is to be used to, one, filter out opportunities, right? So it'll make your life easier, less analysis paralysis, find coins that are looking really strong. For example, you want to look for coins that are long across the board, coins that are long against Bitcoin, etc., right? Number two, you can use it to check your bias. If a coin is showing you that it's against resistance, maybe just wait a little bit, right? Stay away. This is where the dashboard is really powerful, right? It allows us to check our biases when we're getting a tad bit too bullish, a tad too bearish. So let's start with the Bitcoin pairing, because that's where my focus is at the moment, and then we're going to circle back on over to the USD pairing. Now, remember, we talked about this in the most recent live stream. I talked about how, hey, ETH Bitcoin is coming down on over to the 12-hour dynamic, and at this point, even though we would like for it to pull back further, right, we have to follow one of our favorite trade setups for the entire cycle, right? And remember, if you guys are looking to follow along with any of our trade setups over here, I urge you guys to take advantage of the campaign BitChainX is running in conjunction with Mango. They're essentially giving you guys $400 away for free. If you deposit $2,000, you get $400. If you deposit $1,000, you get $200. They're literally giving you a 20% buffer on your trade, right? So you can use this to buffer against your losses or pad your winners even more. On top of that, since Krisha did a live stream just yesterday, if you guys deposit, you also qualify for the $1,000, actually it's a $2,000 giveaway, right? So you guys qualify for the $2,000 giveaway. And oh yeah, check to see if you guys won in yesterday's live stream, because Krisha did announce the winners in the spin the wheel thingy. So yeah, take advantage of this while you can. The campaign ends very, very soon. You deposit 2,000, you get 400. You deposit 1,000, you get 200. It's free money sitting in the corner. You can use it to practice your leverage trading, pad against losses, and even buff your wins. So back on over to ETH. The trace app is essentially, after a prolonged consolidation like this, right, on the 12-hour time frame, the first test of the 12-hour after an impulsive move is a high probability buy opportunity. Let's say you have a consolidation like this going sideways, 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 and boom, impulsive move. The first test of the 12-hour dynamic, let's say this is your 12-hour dynamic, that is a high probability buy. Remember, nothing's for certain. Nothing's for certain. But so far this cycle, this has been working out, I would say around 85% to 90% of the time, maybe even more, right? We're going to give some margin for error though, so we don't want to ever think that something is certainty, because once you get into that mindset, you go way too high positioned, way too high leverage, and you make massive mistakes that you give back way too many profits. So always tell yourself that, hey, this is a high probability, but it's not a certainty. That will tell you to, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling too comfortable buying here, but I should put on the trade anyways, right? And I'm glad that we did. I'm glad that we put on the trade. But at this point, I will be shaving some of that leverage off. I'll be taking profits on that leverage trade, holding on to some of the leverage to see how this weekly closes. I'll be taking those profits and putting it into spot Bitcoin and spot Ethereum. And then I'll be looking to reposition according to how the weekly closes. So for now, I'm pretty happy with this trade. Remember, when you're leveraged, right, even a small move like this, right, which is around 7%, can add up, because for example, if you're going 5x leverage, 7 times 5 is a 35% move. So people always ask me, hey Sean, should I take profits? I can't answer that question. It really depends on how exposed you are. If you're overly exposed, yeah, bring your position back down to base allocation, right? If you're underexposed, then you definitely don't want to be taking profits, right? Because you're already underexposed. You should be looking for dips to be adding to your position. So it all depends on various factors. How bullish you are on the asset. Are you playing for a break of the trend? Are you playing a trend trade? Are you playing a support and resistance trade? So many things matter. For me, for my conditions at the moment, for my situation, it makes sense for me to take profit. Because remember, for me, I'm not taking profits into USD. I'm taking profits into Bitcoin. Now, that leads us to our next question. Why am I taking profits into Bitcoin and not into Ethereum? And that brings us on over to the Bitcoin dominance chart. And we've been talking about this too over the live streams. The Bitcoin dominance chart has come down. And we talked about this candle, this big red candle, when we did close last week. And I'm like, hey, you know what, guys? This candle looks scary. And yes, we may keep coming down. We may just bleed in a straight line. But the probability of that is low, right? The probability leans more in favor of us getting a tad bit of a bounce on Bitcoin dominance. And if we are to see Bitcoin dominance break down, at the very least, we should be putting in a lower high before breaking down. Now remember, as trend traders, we never know how high is the lower high or how low is the higher low. You're always kind of hunting for it, right? You're kind of always, I don't want to say guessing, but you're making a calculated decision based on how aggressive the trend has been towards the upside or towards the downside. So over here, we've been watching this, I'm going to go ahead to the monthly time frame over here. And well, we've been watching this monthly trend on Bitcoin dominance for 2 years now, right? Longer. And we've been keeping it mango, keeping it easy, keeping it stretchy. We've been rewarded for not jumping the gun until we get confirmation on that Bitcoin dominance trend shift. Now, that doesn't mean we don't get into altcoins at all, because remember, our strategy is, hey, 90% Bitcoin, 10% alts, and if you get into the strong alts, it's just going to manage to rebalance itself when we do see the altcoins take over and Bitcoin dominance do break down, right? So we've already been building our ETH allocation, like, you know this, like weeks ago. So when ETH actually does start getting aggressive against Bitcoin, we'll already have that base allocation to add to, and that 90% will automatically turn into 80%, 75%, right? So we are fine. We don't need to jump the gun, follow our strategy, wait for that confirmation. And right over here, like I said before, we could see that bounce, right? On the monthly time frame, this could turn into a wick before we actually see the monthly close. And we're already seeing signs of that on the weekly. You can see that I actually even drew this out over here. I said that we could see a bounce on this trend line here and put in a lower high, maybe somewhere around here, and then break down, right? So we just have to wait a tad bit more. Or Bitcoin dominance could actually surprise everyone and make its way all the way up to the top of the channel. So I want to guard for that as well until I see confirmation of a trend shift. Now, I do want to show you guys something that will get you all coiners and Ethereum bulls very, very excited. This is not looking all that good for Bitcoin dominance, right? This looks like it wants to break down, but it is a lower time frame. I wouldn't bet on the lower time frames over the higher time frames. Waiting for the weekly will give us far more information, and then I will give you guys updates, and we can slowly scale into our theme position with more strength. Now, we already added to our theme position on this 12-hour dynamic over here. Now, again, guys, these trades, when they do come, you have to take them. You have to take them. Whether or not you're feeling comfortable is irrelevant, okay? Trading is not about feeling comfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable when putting on your trades. You're going to be uncomfortable when taking profits. You have to really, really question the times when you're comfortable, actually. You're feeling really good about your trades. You're like, oh man, I want to buy here, I want to buy there. Those are the times you really need to sit back and be like, wait a minute. Do I need to check myself, right? Because the best trades are often the ones where you're most uncomfortable. Unless you've really, really mastered your emotions. You've been in this game for like 15, 20 years, and you have now turned discomfort into comfort, where you're most comfortable when you're uncomfortable, right? So unless you're there, really, really be cautious of being super comfortable, super excited, because those are times where you likely make your most mistakes. Okay, so ETH Bitcoin out of the way. We should circle back to the ETH Bitcoin resistance, right? We talked about this being important, 0.0345. So this lines up with why we may want to take some profits, because 0.0345, in fact, hey, it lines up with this red box I've drawn up right over here, right? Because it would be somewhere around, yeah, the top of the red box right over here. So we're very close to resistance on the high time frames, as well as confluencing with the dashboard too, right? Considering we're coming up to a monthly close and a weekly close as well. And now going back to the USD chart, you're seeing that the USD chart is also up against resistance. And usually, I don't think this is the case anymore because we have seen signs of it, but usually when an altcoin is up against resistance and Bitcoin is up against resistance, what ends up happening is that if Bitcoin goes down, altcoins go down more. But recently, I've seen signs of Ethereum actually holding better than Bitcoin. In fact, Ethereum was making moves up while Bitcoin was making moves down. So I don't want to say that is a given for sure anymore, right? So on that note, I wouldn't be all that surprised to see Ethereum close into this resistance zone within the next 5 days. We have 5 days before this monthly closes. In fact, I wouldn't be all that surprised if Ethereum closes all the way at the top of this red box territory, pushing Ethereum into the $5,000, almost at $5,000, right? Because the top of the red box, guys, is freaking 4,800. Look at how fast Ethereum moves. Look, it was just a few weeks ago that Ethereum was sitting at 2,100, and now with just another tiny push, it'll be sitting close to $5,000. Now again, if you guys did not watch my video from last week, go ahead and watch it. It's a comprehensive video where I also give you guys a crazy longer term target for Ethereum. Not this cycle, right? Not this cycle, but a super long term target for those of you who are building that longer term stash as an investment portfolio. You'd really like what we talk about over here. But for those of you who are more interested in targets for the end of this cycle, right, or for your midterm targets, I have a few targets for you guys, right? So I'm looking for some, like personally, me. You guys can have your own targets. You guys could have higher. You guys could have lower. In fact, taking profits at the highs over here is not that bad of an idea either, right? Somewhere around 4,800, 4,900. But I think Ethereum, right, could surprise people, shock people, and make its way up to around 7,500 to around 8,500. So I have a little red zone marked over there where you should be looking to take USD profits, some at the very least, in my opinion. I'll be doing that. You guys can do whatever you want. This is not financial advice. Why the hell are you listening to someone on YouTube anyways? Jesus freaking Christ. Now, my personal next targets after around, let's say Ethereum can smash through 8,500, we can look for Ethereum to make another quick 2x move. That's how altcoins move when things go crazy. You guys are going to feel it. Right now, it feels so implausible, but around 13,000 to 15,500, somewhere around there, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Okay, and I'm talking, all of this can happen this cycle. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys are enjoying this Ethereum series, and I will continue it. Again, the previous video did get good feedback, so if you guys did enjoy this video, let me know. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It's one of the only ways I can keep track of whether or not people are actually enjoying these videos. It motivates me to do more of them. See you guys in the next one. Ciao.